Hello everybody, hello to you, join in, and I will just wait for people to come onto the live before I start with the information. Hello Barbara, good morning from Glastonbury, happy solstice to you all, wherever you are in the world, happy solstice. So I'm just going to wait for a few people to come into the caravan. And oh, hello to you. I'm just looking, I can see some of the names coming in. Tina, Maria, good morning anyway. Okay, so I'm going to get started. I'll just explain why I've come on. It's gonna be quite fast what I say, so you may want to watch this again. I will put this on YouTube for any of your friends that aren't on Facebook. And what I will do is I want to explain what happened on the tour on 21/12 this week. I want to share with you a learning dream I received at the beginning of December that I haven't shared publicly. I shared to some close friends, but I didn't share it publicly. Then I want to explain how all of that actually came together later, my realization. And then I'm going to just give a brief update of where the vast majority of awakened are. It's kind of like a reminder of what I've been saying since September, but it just brings it into context of this now and the passageway that everybody is in from solstice to the 2nd of January, and then we'll talk a little bit more after that about next year, but not too much about next year, only because it would take too long. Okay, so we'll get cracking. Let's go back to Solstice Monday this week here in Glastonbury on the tour. And for any of you that haven't seen those two videos, part 1 and part 2, it is actually part 1 that explains why we did what we did. Okay, so that was information I received in September of what to do on Solstice. And for those of you that watched that video, you'll be aware that the information I received was very short. It was very specific. We were to take the light to the heart, and the light was actually the people. They were the light structure. And so for any of those people watching right now, can I just say thank you for coming. I mean, Joe Delaney and his wife Kat, they travelled 4.5 hours just to be there, and then travelled back that same night. Many people came. I just want to thank you for your presence on the tour and what you did. I've already explained to them the significance. I've recorded it for them of what happened, the realization afterwards, but I want to explain to you all so that you're aware. Some of the information was for each person, each light bearer, to create an infinity loop with their bodies inside the tour. That's what I was shown in September, that each one by one, would weave themselves in the tour, one by one. And what that is Sally Sheeran described it in a beautiful way, so I'll coin her phrase here, Sally. But she said it's light weaving, and it is, because if you imagine you're a human being, but you're made of light. Everywhere you go, you imprint light. Every time you speak, you imprint light. And so one by one, a person and then another person doing this movement of the infinity loop through the tour, it weaves light layer upon layer upon layer as each individual weaves the infinity loop. So it's like layers upon layers of energy that are left there in this weaving of light. So the information was to do that in the tour, so to weave it in and out of the tour. But when we arrived on that very rainy evening, the tour itself was packed solid of people. You couldn't even get in there. It was so tightly jammed with people. And so that was quite a shock for us all, quietly. And we arrived on the top of the tour, seeing the mass of people there. And I will say that the energy on the tour was variable frequency. There were a lot of different types of energies on the tour. So once we realized that, I made the decision, let's anchor here. Let's weave, let's create the infinity loop over here. And I remember Becky said, yes, let's do it here. And you can hear this in the live recording that we made. And so we chose a place next to the tour. And one by one, we weaved the light. We did exactly what we were told, but we did it outside of the tour. Okay. Now I want to tell you about the learning dream I received very early December. I think it was the 3rd of December. And I was woken up to this in the morning. I was shown the tour itself, the tower, in other words. And I've done some drawings so that you can understand, but already I need to take a drink. I was shown the existing tower that is man-made, made of stone. And then I was shown another structure next to the tower. And this structure I was shown was made of what I could describe as solid light. And I will go into what I mean by solid light in a moment. It was about 1.5 times the height of the existing tour. It may have been twice the height of the tour, I can't recall. And I was shown that this structure of light would be gifted to Mother Earth and humanity and the kingdoms as a gift in recognition for all, to everyone, for the expansion that they have made in their energy, in their service, in their consciousness. So in other words, this structure of light will appear next to the original tower at some point in our, I'm going to say future, I say that word loosely, in our future timeline, as a direct consequence for the work, the energy, the love, light that humanity has expanded into. So in other words, once we reach a specific collective stage of consciousness, this light structure will appear. I just want to say really briefly, because I've had many messages about it in the last few weeks, about the solid man-made structure that did appear on the tour a few weeks ago. That man-made structure appeared about 2 weeks after I received the learning dream. And I didn't respond to it because I didn't need to. It's since been taken down. I think it lasted a couple of days, 3 days maybe. And it was created by digging a hole into the concrete and then concreting it in. So that was a man-made structure. And I don't need to sort of speculate as to what that could be about. It could be about anything, and we'll all have different ideas and opinions on that. but it's not nothing relevant to me, if you like. Excuse me. So this light structure, it's made of what I call condensed light. It's of blue and white in colour. It's iridescent. It's not solid in the way we know solid, and I will explain that shortly. And it's interactive. So in other words, if this is the structure, I know, because I was shown, that I'd be able to like go to it and place my hand on it, and then directly as I place my hand on it, I'll receive data from it. That's one way it will communicate. So it is a consciousness. So just like people talk about and have had experiences of light ships are created by consciousness itself. And so that is a light structure, if you like. And so the one on the tour that will appear at some point in our future as a direct response to how we have raised our collective frequency, it will appear and it will stand for an incredible length of time. I don't know if that's hundreds of years, but I actually sense it's thousands of years that the new structure will stand alongside the existing man-made tower. So what I'm going to do now is show you, because I've drawn it out, the learning dream of what I was shown. I'm sorry, but my throat, I might have to cough a bit. My throat's like keeps drying out. So this is an aerial view of the tour. For those of you that aren't familiar with the tour, I'll upload these pictures later. But for those of you that aren't familiar with the tour, there's a sloping area. So if I do it like that, or like that even, that's kind of how you generally see it in views. So this is an aerial view, and you have this wiggly sloping area here, and then the steeper part is over here that you can walk up the steeper part here. This is a path. So I'll just home in. The grey represents just the path and the gravel that's at the top of the tour. And you can see that there's like a brown square that represents the existing tour. And then alongside it is the light structure that will appear. So I'm going to show you another picture, different viewpoint of the same thing. So if you're traveling up the slope of the tour, the one that's very gradual, and you arrive near the top, and that's how it will look. So hopefully that one is easier to understand. What I want to say, and I didn't realize this until about an hour and a half after we finished the recording and started to go down the tour. About an hour and a half later, I remembered that dream from the beginning of December, and where we stood, where we laid and weaved the infinity loops, is exactly where this blue-white light structure will appear. It's exactly where. And so we could have chosen anywhere around the top of the tour. But where we actually went was exactly in the spot that the new obelisk will appear. And so what we did was we laid the infinity loop as energy in the exact spot. And for me, I just feel that is a massive moment for all those people that came and they weaved their light. It's like it marked the spot, quite literally. So in terms of me saying it's a light structure, I just want to try and explain that a little bit. Everything is made of light. Your whole body, your skin, your hair, this pen is made of light. Everything that exists in solid form is also light. So in this solid holographic reality, the solidity comes about through the particles, through the structure of particles and molecules. And so the structure is held together by particles, molecules, electrons. That's how things are solid. That's how this is a pen, okay? Or at least we say it's a pen. We use our mind to identify that this is a pen. I know I've talked about this before, but I just want to say it for newcomers. So we see this. First of all, we see this with our eyes. And then our mind kicks in. And it kind of says, what is that? What is it? So our mind, the program, okay, it's the crystalline program I talk about a lot. The program tries to identify what this is. And then for whatever reason, we then decide this is a pen, because perhaps we've been shown a pen before as a child. So we then identify this object as being a pen, okay? This object is held together by particles, molecules, electrons. So the relationship between each particle and the energy between each particle creates this solid structure, okay? It's the particles. But it's also something else. It's also just light. So my physical eyes see in different ways. One of the ways it sees all the time is that this is light. So if I look at this pen, and this is something you can actually practice yourself. I'll probably do a little exercise next year to help people transcend structures so that they can actually see that everything is actually made of light, because it is. It's not an idea, it's a reality. It is made of light. I know that because I see it. Everything is made of light. So if I look at this object now and not allow my mind to identify with it or ask what it is, if I just look at it without this going rat, 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 so I disassociate with trying to identify it. I don't want any thoughts whatsoever. And I just look at it. I just see particles of light vibrating. These are tiny, 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 tiny millions of particles of light. And if I focus on it, they're all kind of vibrating, and there's multiple colors that keep changing, multiple hues, multiple rays of light. They're particles, and they just keep changing. So when I'm in that state, it's no longer a pen. It's light. It's particles of light. So it doesn't matter then if I look at this. I can do the same with that, and I can see all the vibration of all the particles of light on that blank piece of paper. It's easier if it's a blank piece of paper. If you've got a blank piece of paper like that, and do it with that, or do it in the dark, pitch black in your room, where there's no objects whatsoever, and you just stop thinking, stop trying to identify, let go of thoughts, and just look with your eyes. You'll start, if you practice it and practice it, you'll just start to see particles of light. You'll see that there's millions of particles of light just on that one page. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is that this structure is made, the new one is made of particles of light. It's not made of atoms and molecules as we know them in solid form. That's what I'm trying to show you the difference. So the tower has a solidity to it because it's made of atoms and molecules and electrons. But the light tower, this one that will be given, isn't made of atoms and molecules and electrons. It's made of light. And every single light particle, every single one, relates to each other to create what we perceive to be a structure. But it's not solid. It looks solid, but it's not solid like it is in this world. It's consciousness. And it's a different state of what you could call matter, really. It's a higher frequency state of creating, because everything originally comes from light, and it just descends and descends and goes into different designs, different corresponding relationships to atoms, and then we get the solid world. So I probably haven't explained that very well at all, but I just want to explain that this light structure that appears for all won't be solid as we know solid to be in this world. It won't be man-made. I also know it's galactic. It's gifted by galactic. And galactic is something I haven't really talked about too much because it would just distract from the main collective timeline that everybody has been in and working through to get to this point. There will be a point when I talk about galactic, but I'll talk about it at the point where it doesn't distract people from being right here, in order for them to be right here and raise their frequency, rather than go over there and get distracted, and then they're not raising their frequency, they're just in the mind getting distracted over here. So that's why I haven't spoken about galactic too much, but it will have to be spoken about in the future at some point, as it's relevant to everything that changes. Okay. Okay. So I don't know when the light structure will appear. I have no timeline for that, by the way. But because of its nature, then I am certain that many, many, many people on the planet will see it themselves. I'm just not sure about the people that have chosen not to ascend. I don't know if they see it. Okay. Because there is 2 timelines. Right, so having said all that, I just want to move on to where we are now, and just point a little bit of the way to next year. So from Solstice to the 2nd of January, you can consider yourself in a passageway. And for each individual, it would be so, so individual. It may seem quiet. You may wonder what on earth is going on. You may feel some sort of loss. The passageway from 21, and I have explained this passageway before now, but I'm just reiterating a few things because we're in it now. The passageway from 2112 to the 2nd of January is your passageway. It's nobody else's. And it may seem quite quiet, as if there's not too much going on, but there is. And in a sense, if I had to describe the passageway for each individual, even though each individual's story and personality and journey is different, if I had to describe that whole passageway in one word, or 2 words, it would be quiet surrender. So to just allow, just surrender. It will seem quite quiet, energetically speaking, for you. I don't mean it's quite out there in other realities. I just mean within you, on your energetic ascension journey. You may think, well, what was Solstice about? I don't know where I am. What's going on? I don't really know. Okay? That's going to be normal. It is like a surrendering of what was because of next year, because of what you're going to step into from the 2nd of January onwards. So, for those of you that have followed my work, particularly since March of last year, because I think that's the first time I gave you the train scenario of this 5D train, and then some people got off the 5D train, and I mention the train quite a bit in my videos because it's what I was shown in Learning Dreamtime. I think it was March, I think. It's in quite a lot of the videos, so I just want to continue with that because it's a really easy way of grasping where everyone is. Okay, I'm going to go back to it right now so that you can see where we are now, because it's massive where we are now. Okay, I've drawn it out again, so you can see that the 5D train is at the top. And just to recap what happened this year in March, I think it was that everybody, well, a lot of the awakened were on the 5D train. Okay, and then at some point, I think it was March of this year, a lot of people got off and they went back into, oh, where is it there? They went back into, they decided to be in 4D. Some of them got off the train, I've mentioned this before, to help out and clear up the mess that was in 4D. So a lot of people on their ascension journey actually in March of this year decided to come off and stay in 4D in order to help clear up the mess. And I was shown these, I won't go into it because I've already explained it quite a number of times this year. Okay. Solstice 20, so this here represents 4D. The green represents 4D itself, the awakened community itself, most of them. There are some people still on the train. I never got off the train. There are some people on the train, and the other people that are on the train that aren't awakened are actually people that are living and have lived in their hearts, and they're unawakened human beings, but their hearts are so pure and well-intentioned that they are also on the train, but they just don't know it yet. Okay, I have explained this before, but I just want to reiterate that because I want to include them, because those people that are unawakened in your lives, that you know them and they live in their hearts and they just have pure intention, they are on the 5D train. It's just that they chose at soul level to wait and wake up at the very last minute. And that's all. They've chosen that. But the awakened community, the vast majority, are here in the green in the 4D. And that 4D, there's a lot of different sections to it. There's I want to talk about it just briefly. There's the highly awakened, they're the ones really that got off the train to help clear up quite a lot of mess in 4D itself. Distortion, darkness, if you want to call it anything, okay? There's also a lot of awakened that have been cycling. So they're on their spiritual path, but they just keep repeating and repeating and repeating and drawing to them the same lessons because they're not clearing them. So that's what I mean by cycling. Then we've got truth seekers who are doing a great job at putting the information out, which helps, bear in mind, it helps the unawakened. Even if the unawakened don't agree with the truth seekers, the very fact that the information is being put out has helped and does continue to help. It helps people question the reality they're living in. So it's always step by step by step. So the truth seekers are actually serving a huge purpose as well. And then we've got newly awakened, which is consistently all the time. People are newly awakened. We've got those. And then finally we've got what we call dark. I don't even like the word dark, to be honest, but everybody understands what we say when we say dark, but I just don't resonate with the word itself because I believe in everyone and I believe in the whole. I'm not in the polarity field, so to me there is no dark, but there is when you're in the polarity field. So 21 December, this is the biggie. 21 December is the point that everybody here gets back on the train. So it's pretty massive what's to come for everyone that is awakened. Bear in mind, the unawakened that are living in their hearts are already on the train. So that passageway, 21 December through to the 2nd of January, think of it like you're at a train station and there's a corridor that takes you to the train. That's what this passageway is. And come the 2nd of January, one by one, bear in mind the corridor, there's some people going like that and then there's some people behind them. So there's this corridor, this walking. Come the 2nd of January, everybody, wherever they are, whatever sector they chose to specialise in, whatever sector they chose to focus on, because people that were cycling, right, there's nothing wrong with cycling. You chose to keep cycling up to a given point. It's okay, nobody's doing anything wrong. You've chosen it all. You've chosen to have that experience. The people that we label dark, they chose to be that role in order for us all to have this polarity experience and forgetfulness. It's all role play in 4D, but 4D is illusion. And this is the part that I found really hard this year for myself personally, is that I know that's all illusion, but I've had to watch and witness everybody playing in it thinking it's real, and it isn't. It isn't. So come the 2nd of January, where you're 21/12 solstice is the point that you left the train station, you're walking along the corridor, this passageway, till the 2nd of January, and then everyone here gets on the train. They're back on the train, 2nd of January. And then I'll just show you finally what I've written at the bottom there. You can see. So 21 December passageway to the 2nd of January. 2nd of January, everybody's on the train to 5D and above. And then, then you experience 2021. and it's not going to be just instant, something sudden, jump, all reality changes on the 2nd of January. It won't be like that. It's going to be very, very, very personal to you. The whole of 2021 will be your inner journey. So people will start to pull back from, see, it all makes sense. People will start to pull back from the spiritual community, the spiritual arena that they've been playing in for 1 year, 50 years, whatever. They will pull away from that in their mind, or have the experience as a human being in their mind, and they'll just pull away, only because they're not there anymore. And so the journey becomes inner. And week by week for each individual, month by month next year, every single one will then have their own inner experiences that are particular for them, but it's all from the inside. We don't ascend by the information outside of us. We don't ascend by the spiritual community. We don't expand by that. We can expand our linear mind by knowing X, Y, Z, but that does not expand our consciousness. That's the difference. There's a difference between linear knowledge and higher wisdom. And so next year, this is why it's an inner journey next year for everybody, because your knowing comes from within you. And so it will be revelation upon revelation upon revelation for you and you and you and you, but it will all come from within you. It won't come from the written word outside of you or somebody else telling you something. That will all become meaningless to you, because you're receiving in a far more massive revelationary way from within you. And when you times that by so many people, you see how each one will empower and empower and empower more for themselves. So next year won't be this sudden, I mean, there may be a sudden event next year, don't get me wrong, I don't know about that. I'll know nearer the time when it happens, or when it's about to happen. I don't have a timeline for that. I just know I'll know slightly ahead of time when that's to happen, and then I will post that on Facebook, as I've always said. And I'm talking about the main event, the solar flash, the main wave. I've already spoken about that, so I don't want to pay attention to that too much. That could be next year. I don't know. I'll only know literally hours before the energy is sent from the sun, and then I'll post that it's on its way. But if we just ignore that for a moment, next year will be your expansion and expansion from within yourselves. Realization upon realization. Things that will be so beautiful, though, that you realize within yourself, it will just make you weep and weep at the beauty of the design again and again and again. Why this happened, why that happened, so that you could come to this point, and then this point, and then this point. So what will really happen next year, just to make it really super clear, what will really happen next year, 1 week at a time. And it won't be that 1 week something happens and then that's it. No, there'll be more, and then there'll be more and more and more. But next year's journey for most people will be inner revelationary experiences unique to you and you and you and you of the true divine connection within you. You won't be able to deny it because it's happening to you, inside of you. It will be the year that more and more and more people begin, if they're going to be talking, to talk about the divine itself. Whatever name you want to call it, I don't mind. Source, God, Creator, Prime Being, whatever. But it will be about your connection to the Source. Because that's what you've always been. You have always been that. It's what you are. It's what you're self-realizing through the awakening journey. And everybody will. But it happens individually to you, by your own journey, not by what somebody says. There's no power in that. The power is within you. It always, always has been. Always. And in terms of, because I didn't touch on it, and maybe I should, because it's just for understanding, just for awareness. When I showed you that 4D sections, and I put D for the what we label the dark, which isn't actually dark, it's the experience of darkness, okay, within polarity. The beings that have played that role, for everyone else to have the whole experience within polarity, two things happen, or three things happen. One is they're seen. So the ones that play those roles get seen by the ones that become more sensitive. And when I say the ones that become more sensitive, I'm talking about the unawakened as well, because everybody is becoming far more energetically sensitive. So the ones that have played the role of darker energies, controlling energies, they will be seen more and more and more and more. And then they get to choose. Those people, those souls, right, at soul level, that chose at soul level to play that part, so that each and every one of us could have the experience within such a vast polarized field. They get to choose. They then get to choose, having been seen, knowing they are seen, they then get to choose at human will level whether to also expand, which means the journey back into the heart, the one that we've been on. They either get to choose the journey into the heart and be on that journey and expand, or they get to choose to leave, or they get to choose to play out the rest of their life in that reality. Because there'll be two realities, just like I showed you years ago, by the vision that I got of the two realities. So it's all beautiful. The thing to really, really understand is that the vast majority are expanding. The collective consciousness of humanity itself as a whole, energetic together, is choosing expansion. And there are so many that have waited almost to the last minute because they wanted that surprise. They wanted that, oh my God, I didn't realize. Yeah, they chose that. that's what they chose. Other people chose to be awake most of their lives. Some people of just a few years. So it's not to judge anybody based on where they are. It's all about energy. And that's what next year will show. It will show everybody's energy so that nothing can remain hidden, because every single one of us become more and more and more energetically sensitive to one another. So we feel the energy. It's literally about feeling. And so you feel the energy behind the words, or you feel the energy behind what is written or what is said. And then you just make your own choices. But basically, everybody becomes, because the collective consciousness is energetically rising in hertz, okay? What that means is everybody becomes far more sensitive to energy in many, many different ways. Not just about feeling one another, but our hearing becomes more sensitive, our sight, our touch becomes so sensitive, and we become more sensitive to the overlay or the overlying dimensions. So we start to see, hear, feel the higher dimensional planes of light. It's so multifaceted. Okay, so I just seen a little notice. Mandy, will you be putting this on YouTube? Yes, I will. Yes, I'll try and do that today. Yeah, I shall leave it there. Next year, week by week, literally. Very personal to you. Your experiences. That's how you'll receive your revelations from here within. And it will be different for another and another and another. And then when you add it all up, you've just got all these multiple experiences of expansion for all. Can't be denied next year. So enjoy the passageway right now. Just allow it to be what it is. It may seem on an energetic front, on a spiritual front, if you want to call it that, it may seem, it's maybe like a lull, may feel quite quiet, like what's next. But just see, you're just in this passageway. 2nd of January comes, and then just within you, it will unfold throughout the year. So next year will be a huge journey for everybody. I'm not quite sure what I'll be doing next year. This section that I've been in, which has been to do these lives and to write these posts and to give love and just help in my way, try and really the role has been about trying to help everybody lift their energetic frequency up. But it is just a part of the journey for me. My journey is with working with energy, quite literally working with it. And so for me, that's what my year will be about. I'm not quite sure. I have some understanding of it, but I'm just going to let it unfold as it does. I'm not planning a thing. But I just have this rough idea, this rough knowing, because of how the energy and ability is expanding. But the next stage for me is to actually give out energy more and more and more, and that's why I'm here. So I'm not sure in terms of Facebook Lives and stuff like that. I'll just take it as it comes, and that's all we can do, is just take it as it comes for each of us, and expect the unexpected. Expect the beauty that will be within the unexpected, because the truth is always more beautiful than we could ever imagine. And that's what's so beautiful about it. And that's what was beautiful about the tour was we went up there and we couldn't get in the tower, and the point was we weren't supposed to. We were just supposed to get up there and go, and then lay the energy just to the side of the tour. So it's like I say, you know, the beauty is always more beautiful than you can ever imagine when it unfolds and you get to see each and every one of you for you. So I wish you a happy solstice, a beautiful passageway through. Be kind to yourselves, gentle on yourselves. If you do feel that you're not sure and you're down and you're wondering what's happening, and you just realise it's this point of surrender. You're letting go of what was. You're letting go of what you were, how you lived, how you played, so that you can be so much more of what you already are and are expanding into. So that's why it will feel, if it does feel, I mean, if it feels a little bit of a lull, you're just preparing yourself. That's what's happening energetically. You're preparing yourself for next year. If you celebrate Christmas, I wish you a beautiful Christmas wherever you are in the world. And if you don't celebrate Christmas Day itself, every day, every single day, including the 25th, is an opportunity to be love and to give love. So I just wish you a day of love too. God bless you. Take care. As always, I hope some of that rambling helps a little bit. God bless you, and thank you for everything you have done for the whole. Thank you for staying. Thank you for getting through. Thank you for never giving up, even at times when we all wanted to. We've all been there. Thank you for staying and being the light, being the love for all. Love you. God bless. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.